Please be seated. The court is now back in session. Court officer, could you invite the civil party TCCP 149 into the courtroom? Good morning, Madam Civil Party. What is your name? Civil Party. My name is Sopan Sowani. Thank you. How old are you? Answer, I am 57 years old. Question, can you tell the court your place of birth and your current residence? Answer, I was born in Quarter 1 in Phnom Penh. Currently, I live in Bontiek Day Kraum Village, Bontiek Day Commune, Kondiang District, Pulsat Province. Question, what is your current occupation? Answer, I am a rice farmer. Question, can you tell the court the names of your mother and father, and your husband's name, and the number of children you have? My father's name is Supan Supai. He passed away. And my mother, Lum Kum Sai, passed away. And my husband, Ned Suwan Ned Wan dead. And we have 3 children. Thank you. Legal lawyers, what is your request for the hearing on the statements of suffering of this civil party? You made your submission already, but it seems that you decided to change it. Could you please clarify the matter before we proceed with hearing the statement of suffering of this civil party and other civil parties for today's proceeding? Mr. President, as we informed you, for this civil party, we request to give the opportunity to this civil party to make her statement, and if needed, then we, the civil party lawyers, would put a question to her. Likewise, for the next TC civil party, we request the same procedure is applied. And for the last civil party for today, that is TCCP 117, the assigned lawyer will ask the question first before the statement of suffering is made. President, thank you. Madam Supan Sawani, in your capacity as a civil party before this chamber, you are given an opportunity to express your statement of suffering and harm inflicted upon you psychologically, physically, and materially, and which are the direct result of the crimes that occurred and that led you to become a civil party in this case. The crimes which have been charged against the two accused, namely Nuon Chea and Khieu Samphan, and which occurred during the Democratic Cambodia regime from the 17th April 1975 to the 6th of January 1979. This is your right as a civil party, and this is the opportunity that we give to you. You may proceed. Civil Party. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors. Good morning, everyone in the courtroom. On the 17th April 1975, my family and I were living in Sa Toj village, which was in quarter 1, part of Phnom Penh, that is, it was near kilometer number 6. On that day, I heard the announcement broadcast on a mobile loudspeaker that we all had to leave our house because it was imminent that the Americans would drop bombs. Upon hearing that, we did not believe it. So we were on the side road, and we went to the main road, and we heard the same message. So I came back to the house, informing my parents and siblings that we had to leave Phnom Penh urgently, otherwise Phnom Penh would be bombed by the Americans. And my parents said, "No, don't believe that. Now the country enjoyed peace." But immediately, 2 or 3 militia came to the front of our house and shouted at us that, "What are we waiting for? Why aren't we packing our stuff and leave? Everybody is leaving. Why are you still here?" We were scared upon hearing that. We were never shouted at before, not let alone to leave our house. And it was very difficult for us to do anything. Where would we go to? What food would we have when we leave the house? But we had to follow the announcement. We did not even pack our belongings yet, but we heard a few shots fired into the air nearby our house. We became even more scared. So we rushed ourselves to leave the house and reach the main road. As my house was located on the side road, so we had to leave the side road to reach the main road. The situation at the time was shocking and confusing. The road was packed with people, and I did not know where they came from or where they were heading to. The road was fully packed with people, with the sick, and with some transportation, including the bicycle, some vehicles, and the rickshaw. People were asking for their relatives and family members. There was one person from another family who pressed their hands to beg the Khmer Rouge to return to the back in order to find their family members, but the person was refused by the Khmer Rouge soldiers. The Khmer Rouge soldiers were standing there on the road, forcing us to keep moving. They had their weapons. And there were flies. Flies were everywhere. And there were dead bodies along the road, although I did not know when those people died. Also, human excrement was everywhere along the road. From kilometer number 6 to Prey Pneu, it took us 2 days. We did not have clean water to drink. We would drink whatever water we could get. And upon reaching Prey Pneu, we was about to cook food for ourselves. Khmer Rouge soldiers made an announcement on the mobile speaker that there would be no market and money would not or cannot be used. So we all were shocked to hear that. We could only live by getting food from the market, and without having a market, how could we obtain food? Because when we left, we did not bring much belonging, as we were told we would only live for 3 days. So we could only carry only small things that we could carry along. We did not prepare ourselves for a long journey. So by hearing such an announcement, we were shocked and we lost our hope. And I could see other people's facial expressions. They were desperate. They threw away their money. Some of them burnt it. And then we continue walking for 15 days after we crossed the Prey Dam by ferry to the other side. My father wanted to take us further to the border so that we could escape. It seems that he knew something, but he did not tell us what it was. He only wanted us to cross and to reach the border. We almost reached Kampong Thom, but I could not recall the name of that village. We were exhausted. Then we went to take a rest in a pagoda. There was no one inside. There were no monks, but the Buddha statues were destroyed. Some of the heads were gone or the limbs. That's what we saw. And it was very quiet. So we rested in one of the monk residences. And on the second day in the afternoon, there were 4 or 5 militia who came to us and asked where we were heading to. My father said that we wanted to go to Kampong Thom province to meet with the rest of our family members. And they said, there is no need for us to go there. If you work here, you still work for Angkar. Even in Kampong Thom, you come out, you still work for Angkar. So tomorrow you go down and work with the people in the village. They are working very actively and you still want to go somewhere else. My father did not reply to that statement. He kept silent. And next day, the village chief came to us and instructed my family to go and pull the rice seedlings. And surely enough, next day at around 4 or 5 a.m., we were asked to go and pull the rice seedlings. Allow me to tell you that we were of a business family. I did not even know what rice stalk looked like, not even the rice seedlings. But then we were asked to pull the rice seedlings. Of course, for those who knew how to do it, they kept going forward. And we did not know how to do it. Then those who went ahead, sometimes they threw the rice seedling to the back and the mud splashed onto our faces. Some of us cried, but my father said, "Don't cry." And he used the muddy water to clean our faces, and we kept doing that for 4 or 5 days. That is to pull the rice seedlings. Our eyes became sore, but we just kept doing it. And on the 5th day, my father decided to speak to the village chief and asking for permission to go and find his parents in a Kampong Thom. The village chief replies that he cannot decide it, but he will go to seek permission from another level. Then a few militia came and scolded my father that we were of the capitalist nature and did not want to do work assigned by Angkar. And they instructed us to keep working. And if we worked good, then they would ask our parents to come and the parents of my father to come and visit us. He kept quiet then, and he just comforted us to keep working. Next day, a man who was a best person from the same village had a pity on our family, and then he told my father secretly that we should prepare our belonging and flee because our family would be killed soon. And my father asked what mistakes did he make, and he told my father that because our family was considered a capitalist and that we did not like to engage in this labor, and that he would have us to escape during the night as he had a boat. He was a fisherman. So my father thanked him very much, and he warned my father to keep quiet. And that night at around 9 or 10 p.m. he came to wake us up and to take us to the boat. It was dark. I did not know where I was, so we went onto the boat and we used tree leaves to cover ourselves while we were crawling in the middle of the boat. And when we left the port, we encountered another boat. The person asked the owner of the boat where he went, and he said that he went to Lob. We were extremely shocked at the time. If they approach us a bit further, they would see us and we would be killed, and the boat owner would be killed as well. But thanks God, the boat did not approach us close enough. So we were happy when the other boat gone. So the boat owner and my father rowed the boat further and further, and at one point he stopped, and then he advised us to just keep going further into the jungle. So we kept going into the jungle in the middle of nowhere, and mosquitoes were everywhere. In the morning, there was dew mixed with all these mosquitoes everywhere, and we dare not to squash the mosquitoes, so not to make any noise. Next morning, we saw a man on a palm tree, and we asked him to tell us the direction, as we told him that we lost our way. So that man showed us the road to go toward a village, and then we went to the village and the village chief, and we met the village chief, but the village chief said that he could not attack us because we were the 17 April people, and the people living in that village were the best people. And he told us to go to another village by the name of Roka Kaung. We thanked him, and then we were put into an ox cart with the hay stacked on top to conceal us. There were 6 or 7 of us. We were hiding under the hay. When we reached Roka Kaung village, my father asked him whether the person knew his nephew who was living in Roka Kaung village, and the person knew him. So then we met my father's nephew, and he said that he could not take us in without the approval of the village chief. So we went to seek permission from the village chief, and the village chief said we could stay there and work together with the best people there. So we stayed at the house of the relative of my father in Roka Kaung village. We ate what we had. We had some food and some rice with us. So we managed to survive. But we could only do it for 2 days, and then we were asked to go and cut a cock. I never knew what cock was. Only my father knew what it was. But he did not tell us how to cut the cock, because the cock is razor sharp on its blade, and our hands were bleeding. It was razor sharp, so my younger siblings and I all got our hands bleeding. They were pretty young, so they cried when their hands bled, and my parents were scolded for that. We cut the cock for 4 or 5 days, then we were called to go to join a meeting so that we could be given the rice and the salt ration. It would take us 15 days to go and get the salt and rice. But in my family, no one was strong enough to go and pick it up, and only I could do it. I was pitiful on my father, so I decided to go in his place. I rode the bicycle, and when I reached the salt field, the riding was rough. It was not a smooth road. And I had to complete a return trip within 15 days. And I knew nothing at all about the direction to go to the salt field. And upon reaching the salt field, I gave the person the letter. Then I was instructed to pick up the salt as quickly as I could, and then return it on my bicycle. I picked up the salt and I glanced around, I saw people who were working in the salt field, but they were guarded by armed soldiers. Those armed soldiers were patrolling while the people were working in the salt fields. Then I rushed myself and rode a bicycle. I brought along 50 kilograms of salt, and of course it was very difficult for me to carry this heavy salt. And as you knew, my hands bled from cutting the cork, and my glands were swollen because of the long journey and of the riding of the bicycle. But I decided to do this because I was pitiful of my parents. And when I arrived home, I became extremely exhausted. I could not move. And when I showed them the salt, they took the salt away from me. And the person who carries the salt stumbled and fell down and was scolded by the Khmer Rouge soldiers that he did not work properly because of his capitalist nature, and the soldier was whipping the ground with a whip to threaten the person. And I was shocked of seeing that, extremely shocked. I was so afraid. And in return, I was only given a small pack of salt, and it was about 1 kilogram only. But in fact, when I left, they said that I would be given half of what I could carry and bring back. My father said, just keep accepting what we were given and be patient. That's the virtue of the words of my father. He asked us to be patient. And 3 or 4 days later, there was an announcement that the new people from Rokakaong village would be transferred to work in the rice field in Posat and Battambang province. And over there, it was abundant with rice, as rice was stored in the warehouses there, and that we would be able to feed ourselves to the full. I myself did not believe that, so did my parents. But we had no choice because that was the direction by Angka that we had to go. So all the new people had to go. They registered our names, and then we boarded a motorboat. We left Rokakaong to the east side of Prey Romek. We stopped somewhere there. And while we were on the boat, we were guarded by Khmer Rouge soldiers. Some young children on the boat cried as they were hungry, so did my younger siblings. And they shouted at us to look after the younger siblings, otherwise we would be thrown aboard. What kind of words? That was very rude and cruel. I could not imagine such words were used in that regime. We were shocked upon hearing that. So the mother of those children fetched some water from the river and gave the water to the children, as she was afraid that the children would be killed. Then we left the boat and we were put into the GMC trucks. There were 3 or 4 trucks waiting for us, and when it was full, then they traveled to the railway station. And when we reached the train, the wagons were not meant for people, it was for cattle or vehicle. So we were pushed into the wagon. When it was full, they closed the door with a piece of wood, and we were not allowed to relieve ourselves, and the train departed that night.
They told the men to stay there, and the women were asked to come down, and they point a gun at us, and they actually wanted us, they allow us to actually advocate, but we could not even relieve ourselves because we were very frightened at the gun point. So at that time, we were in constant fear, and when we got to the railway station at Posat, they asked us to get off the train and got on the truck. I did not know, I did not actually have the sense of time of the day. We did not have any watch, we did not have any food to eat, and we went without water. When we reached a place where there was water, whether or not it was contaminated, we drank the water. And when we got to Posat, it was early in the morning. And then we got on the truck, we went to a cooperative in Kandiang district. When we reached there, it was Popi cooperative. It was nothing but forest. It was bush. It contained of bushes, but it was not the farmland. So we had to clear the bushes in order to do the farming, and we had to build our hut to take shelter. They actually did not build it for us. We had to do it all by ourselves. So my family and I had to do it by ourselves. At that time, they gave us 5 cans of rice per person. So we have 8 members in our family. So we receive that many cans of rice. And we did not have any vegetable or anything that could be cooked with, because it was only bushes over there. So my father was tasked to clear the bushes to make way for farming, and my mother was asked to do other job in other places. And as for my younger brothers and or older brothers and sisters were in the mobile units. My sister was lucky to be in the mobile unit of the village, but I was attached to the mobile unit in the district. So I was, we had to separate from one another in the family, and this separation was suffering. We did not have any food to eat, and we had to stay away from our parents and our beloved brothers and sisters. This was the tragedy in our life. It was, I could not think of anything, but I almost wanted to commit suicide. Whenever I had to leave my parents for the day, I could not even say goodbye to them. I could only stare into their face with a very sad impression, and then we knocked our head and left. There was nothing we could do at that time rather than just staring into each other's eye, and as we said goodbye. So I stayed there for approximately 4 or 5 months. I actually never returned home when I went to join the mobile unit of the district. I had to stay over there for months, and I had to go from one work site to another. And then I got to know one man who whispered to me that my father was being sick and he was being treated at Kandiang District Hospital. And he asked me whether or not I could go and visit him for the last time. I was very terrified at that time. I was very sad and I could not say anything. I decided to go to my unit chief, begging him for his mercy. I asked him for a leave to go to visit my sick parents. The President, Madam Savani, please hold on. Your counsel is on her feet. You may proceed, counsel. Counsel. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I would like to seek your leave so that I can ask a question and talk to my client, because due to the time limitation, I need to make sure that my client is actually be brief. The President, yes, you are right. We are running out of time, so you may go ahead. Counsel. Ms. Savani, could you please be brief, because we only have 10 minutes left. You may resume your statement, however, please be rather brief. Yes, I will be brief. At the time, I asked for leave from the unit chief, but I was not granted leave. So at night, I decided to escape. I had to risk my life to escape in order to visit my father, my sick father. So I had to cross the stream. The stream was rather shallow. It was not deep anyway, but I could successfully cross the stream. And then when I got to Kandiang Hospital, I saw no one on the bed where my father was supposed to be there. And then I was looking for him. I actually asked people over there. They told me that my father was already dead. And then I was asking them. I was crying very loudly, and then I asked other people around for my mother, and then they told me that I was not a doctor myself, so I was not in the position to be worried about the health condition of my mother. So I was crying. I could not do anything, so I could do nothing but return. And a few weeks after that, I learned the news that my sister was also dead because of diseases. And later on, I learned the sad news again that my two younger sisters were dead for diseases again. And they later changed my position, my location. I went to look for my younger brother. He was being sick. He could not do anything. Upon seeing me, he was very desperate. He came to talk to me in a very soft voice that whether or not I have brought any rice for him to eat. He was begging me for a rice, just for a bite of rice. It would be enough for him, and I was very depressed. I could not help him and could not help him whatsoever. I did not have anything with myself. How could I help him at that time? Then my younger brother died of starvation and disease. And then they transfer me to dig canal and dike in Kilo. When I got there, they give us the quota of the areas I had to accomplish. For example, if they limited me to complete 10 square meter. I had to complete it by the deadline. And they also wanted us to share our view, our life view, and they took the card in order to take us to share our life view in a group. And then I decided that I would not go. Even if they killed me now, I would not go. So I begged the man who was riding the cart that I did not want to go. And then the man said he could not be of any help because he could not even help himself. So whatever I could do, I should choose to do it by myself. So I, at that time, wandered around, and I had to leave the village. I went into the forest. I did not know where I was heading to, but I just went on walking and walking until I reached the Mnachư Krom along the Cardamom Mountain. I asked people over there where it was, and they said that it was the Mnachư Krong. And I met the cooperative, and I told the cooperative chief that I was asked to cut wood in the forest, but then I lost my way, and I ended up here. And then the cooperative allowed me to join the cooperative, and I was assigned to dig the canal in that cooperative in the Mnachư Krom. But again, over there, the work condition was harsh. The ground over there was full of rock, and we had to break rock in order to make canals. And the work was very hard. We had to carry water from the streams in order to break the rock from the canal in order to make way for the canal. And we used iron rod. It was very heavy. When we hold it and push it to the ground, our hands were bleeding and swollen. I look at my hands, it was swollen and it bled. I could not cry, I could not complain, I could not protest. I had no choice, but I had to accomplish my job. Before my father passed away, he once told me that I had to struggle, I had to live on in my life, so I had to continue to live. I continue to dig the canals. I carried earth, I carried stones, and all kinds of hard labor I had to endure. In that work site, I witnessed a few events which terrified me for the rest of my life, and I will never, ever forget it for the rest of my life of this event. There was a young woman who was in my cooperative. She was hiding jewelry, a necklace in her pocket somewhere, and then one day when she was digging the earth, she dropped it, and then the chief of cooperative noticed it, but he said nothing. And then the next morning, 3 militiamen came, and they took her to the forest, and from that time onwards we never saw again. And actually we found out that she was killed, she was executed, and she was buried, but her dead body was not fully buried. We could see her leg coming out, and they told us that they warned us not to be reactionary. We had to get rid of any reactionary behavior, because we should have learned our lesson from the lady who was just executed. There was another event in that work site too. There was a lady who was in my cooperative, she got one piece of potato. She backed the potato, but she just got only 1 or 2 bites of the backed potato, and then the militiaman asked her where she got this potato, and then she could not really answer the question, and then she just frog marched her out, and then they blindfolded her, and then they just knocked her to the earth, and then she actually beat her until she was motionless. And then they unfolded that, and then when they opened, they actually untie the blindfold as well as the plastic that she was covered with. We saw the blood everywhere, and she was taken away. She was dragged away like that animal anywhere. So this image was very sorrowful for me, and I can never forget it. And then they once again take this as an example for all of us. They warn us that if we committed any wrongdoing as the lady was doing, then we would end up in the same fate. There was another lady who committed sexual wrongdoing. She got pregnant for 7 months. I did not know what had happened to her. And then she told me that she had to return to the cooperative. And then I did not know what she actually had done. She did not go to the cooperative. The next morning, 3 militiamen carry with the hoe and a knife. They frog marched her to the forest. I decided to follow to observe what would happen to her, and I saw that they dig the ground, and then they unclothed her, and they just beat her with a hoe, and she was beaten unto death. And then when she actually fell down on the ground, the infectus in her abdomen was probably reacting, and then the soldier used the knife in order to cut open the woman's abdomen. So this was an appalling scene that I could not really get rid of my memory. When I got back to my work site, there was another event. It was a unit. She was a unit chief. She was given a quota of work. She had to complete the task for the day, otherwise she would be killed. And she could not accomplish the work quota for her, because she sprained her ankle, and she could not handle the job. And then in the evening, we heard a gunshot. She was killed instantly in the evening, and she was actually buried in the pit that she actually dug up by herself during the daytime, that she could not accomplish the work quota imposed by them. I am almost done with this. I saw 2 trucks carrying people. They took these people on trucks upwards. I asked them where they took these people to. They told me that they would take these people to work somewhere else. But then these people never returned. But the next morning, to my surprise, they returned clothes and sandals back to the work site where we worked. And I then realized that these people must have all been killed. What I would like to inform the court is that my life has been miserable and unfortunate. I have lost my parents. I have lost my father. From time to time, I had to escape from one place to another, particularly to visit my parents, and I heard that they were being sick, so I risked my life to flee in order to visit them, but unfortunately they were all dead. My mother ate a wild morning glory known as Trokun Tej, and she got diarrhea after eating it, and her condition got worse until she was dead because of this disease. I have lost all my relatives, my sibling and my parents. I have nothing more left. I have endure all the miserable things in my life. My difficulty, my misery cannot be put in words. It is indescribable. The President. Thank you, Madam Sovani. Now I hand over the floor to the prosecutor to put the question to Madam Sovani. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Madam Civil Party. My name is Dale Lysak. I'm from the co-prosecutor's office. I have just a couple of questions for you this morning. Your civil party application indicates that when you were in Kanding district in Pursat, that you were located in a commune called Srei Sidok commune. My first question to you is, did you know of a place called Tul Potre that was in the area of that commune? And if you know of that place, what can you tell us about Tul Potre?
I stay in Popi, Kanding district. Tul Pochrai was far from my village, but I know that Tul Pochrai was a place where soldiers were taken to be executed over there, but I did not know much about this place. As you may be well aware that at that time we were not allowed to know anything. We were supposed to know our job. We were supposed to do the job we were required to do. We had to comply with the order that Angka handed down to us. So I only learned about Tul Pochrai, particularly its existence, only after 1979.
Thank you for that response. My second and the last area I want to ask you about, the accused in this case claim that one of the reasons they had to move all the people out of Phnom Penh was so they would have enough food to eat. Did you and your family have sufficient food to eat in any of the locations to which you were evacuated?
If we had had enough food to eat, my parents, my relatives, my siblings would not have died. We did not have anything. We did not have food. We did not have access to medicines. We did not have access to many things in life.
I thank you very much for coming here today. I know it's been very difficult. That's all the questions that we have, and we very much appreciate your time.
The President, thank you. Now I hand over the floor to the defense team for Mr. Nguyen Chie to put the question to this civil party. You may proceed.
Mr. President, we don't have any questions.
The President, thank you. Next, I hand over the floor to the defense team for Mr. Kiew Sampon. Counsel Kung Samon. Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of Mr. Kiew Sampon, I do not have any question to put to this civil party. Thank you. The President, thank you, Counsel. Thank you, Madam Sovani. Your testimony and the statement of your suffering have come to an end. You are now released. We have recorded your statement concerning your suffering, and your testimony will contribute to ascertaining the truth. I wish you good health and the best of luck, and you may now return back home. Court officer is now instructed to coordinate with the vessel unit to assist her in her return to her home or to any direction she wishes to go. And the Chamber wishes to advise the members of the public and parties that the Chamber this afternoon will resume hearing the testimony and statement of suffering of two more civil parties, TCCP 170 and TCCP 117. The time is now appropriate for lunch adjournment. The Chamber will adjourn now and resume at 1:20. Security guards are now instructed to bring Mr. Kiew Sampon to the holding cell downstairs and have him return to this courtroom this afternoon before 1:20. The court is now adjourned.